The story of Noah's Ark from off of the Book of Genesis is so incredibly horrific. It's insane. Just adjust that. First of all, it's the mass genocide, not only against every human that was alive except Noah and his family at the time of the biblical flood, which definitely didn't happen though. There are floods in many ancient religions and historic texts. This doesn't prove anything, as these horrific fairy tales are not exactly easy to comprehend when they actually were supposed to have happened. So, however, they did ironically help humankind discredit 6 millennia of evolution, as it was said to wipe out all life except those fortunate few that were safe aboard the Ark, even though there are thought to be around 5 million species alive today on planet Earth. 99% of all life forms that ever existed are now extinct, which what remains are due to generations of evolution, but this is hard to understand, even easier to dismiss as untrue. This is what young Earth creationists just do. Also, with modern sciences and geological surveys and techniques, it is possible to work out seasonal and environmental changes. Let's be honest, dry deserts to floodlands are massively different, yet there's no evidence for this monumental flood had even been found, so it just didn't happen. Religious bias will claim it must have happened because it's in historical text. Historical texts don't make historical facts. However, proving the dates and timelines for these events are basically impossible to get to within a couple of thousand years, as the Genesis story doesn't have much in the way of actual details. So let's look at some times when we have had events that can easily be dated. So, for example, let's look at where World War I happened. It raged between the 28th of July 1914 and ended on the 11th of November 1918. Whereas World War II started on September the 1st, 1939 and ended on May the 8th, 1945 in Europe. These dates are known and are factual, and I know it finished later in Asia, but we're just looking at Europe here. Different is its modern history. Many historians have written about it. It's known about at schools across the world. Not sure there's a conspiracy theory that these events never happened, although sadly, of course, there are Holocaust deniers. Again, this is religion being a dick again, as if the Jewish faith never suffered enough during the time period, and obviously before. But back to Noah. So first, at the time of the alleged flood, Noah was 600 years old. So no spring chicken. We're not going to worry about the age in this video. We're going to come back to that in another video, the ages of the Bible. He was seen as being righteous among many sinners. Your God was so pissed that he threw his toys out the pram. No explaining exactly what they did, these so-called sinners, but why would we need details, although they would help, so we can make sure we didn't upset the big man in the sky by not repeating them. So God tells Noah what is going to happen and what he needs to do. Great, I'm sure Noah was really pleased to have to build this ship. So Noah needed to build a massive boat, which is going to be called the Ark. On this vessel, he must ensure he takes all the creatures, 7 pairs of clean animals, the male and its mate, not the male and female or a pair, if they aren't clean, I guess. Now, some say penguins and polar bears. However, neither of these would need to board the Ark. Polar bears live on the ice sheet. Wow, there's a little experiment you could do here, people, and it is. As an experiment, fill a glass of water with ice in it and notice how the ice flows. This would also happen in Antarctica, so seals and penguins would have places to rest, although penguins spend months at sea anyway, as do seals, so who knew? So why would they need to get on the Ark? The albatross also flies out at sea for months at a time, and it doesn't need to land because it sleeps whilst it flies. The Ark was 50 cubits long and 30 cubits wide with 3 levels. How long is a cubic? It's around 18 inches according to Google. And I would say that when it comes to facts, it's more reliable than the Bible. So there you go. Especially as the Bible is very much lacking in details where evidence is required to prove any actual facts. So let's continue then. I again use World War I and World War II timelines as evidence as to when an event actually happens. So although we know when the event happened, there's certain things. It's a minimum basic requirement with their actual geographical evidence. I could also use events that actually happened where and at what times. So the Battle of the Somme in the First World War, for example, we could use that. Not sure when that is. Go and look at the dates. You'll find them. Anyway, back to Noah and his massive ark. How would it be possible to create such a gigantic boat at this time without modern tools? This was actually attempted in the early 20th century. A boat similar size to the ark, made with modern technologies of the time, which are obviously going to be better than they were 8,000 years ago. And the boat got caught in heavy seas and it sunk when the wood started to twist. Just saying, people. However, what makes the hillbillies believe it is the line that God decided to never kill anything again in that way. Chapter 9, line 1 says, I establish my convent with you, that never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of a flood, and never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. So there is God's get out of jail free card, pretty much. If you look at the violent destruction, sinful ways of humankind over the last 2,000 years, there should be no land left, to be fair. But that line stopped that happening again. So when you look at how man was willing to destroy each other, from the holy wars to religious persecution, throughout the generations to the Holocaust or the numerous genocides, from the Europeans arriving in the Americas to Cambodia or USSR, China, to name a few, where thousands or millions were murdered. It's a story which many still believe to be true. Bless them. So when I was a child, I thought Noah saved all the animals from the flood, but I never knew it was your kind and loving God who caused a global holocaust that would kill every creature that walks upon it. Didn't really get that narrative from that story. So Noah was, in my young mind, a kind and caring man. Yet after planting the first vineyard and creating wine, he got so drunk that he was found naked in his tent. Let's read these lines from off of the chapter 9, starting with line 20 to line 29. It's the end of the main Noah story. Chapter 10 is a tale of the descendants. We will come on to them a bit later. So line 20 goes, Noah, a man of the soil, was the first to plant a vineyard. He drank some of the wine and became drunk, and he lay uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his 2 brothers outside. Then Shem and Japheth took the garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and walked backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. When Noah woke from his wine, he knew what his youngest son had done to him. He said, Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves shall he be to his brothers. He also said, Blessed by the Lord, my God be Shem, and let Canaan be his slave. May God make space for Japheth, and let him live in the tent of Shem, and let Canaan be his slave. After the flood, Noah lived 350 years. All of the days of Noah were 900 years, and he died. Sorry, 950 years, and he died, because, he was 600 when he built the ark, and he lived that long. Anyway, That's right, Noah, who got pissed, decided to turn his own grandson, Canaan, into an actual slave. So his two brothers got the privilege to live in the tent whilst Canaan was there as a slave. Canaan is Ham's son. Ham doesn't live in the tent, and Canaan is the slave of his brothers. So chapter 10 then talks about Noah's offspring and their descendants. So the world needs to be repopulated. In the modern world, it has been made easy to get anywhere quickly. There can be not many places that you can't take more than a week to get to. However, there wasn't many vehicles to get around, so it would be hard to get around. Yet mankind is generally everywhere. So at the time of the Bible, nobody from Africa or Eurasia knew about the Americas or Australia. Yet much later, man discovered the Americas were there, and humans already were there, the natives. Australia wasn't discovered until the 1800s, yet there were man there as well. Wow. Obviously it had been discovered, it just wasn't by us Europeans. There are also the skin tones. It doesn't explain why sub-Saharan Africans and Southeast Asians and North Europeans all look different. This happens through multiple generations, through evolution. The hotter the area, the darker the skin, and the cooler, the lighter. Probably going to find that you're going to be a bit hairier when it's cooler as well. Look at Southern Africa. It has very different animals to Madagascar, although it has a similar temperature, similar latitude. By evolution through natural selection occurred. Different species not found anywhere else due to no land border. Well, that will do for now. In the story of Noah from the book of Genesis, the one where God got pissed, everything was destroyed. The hero was also a dick, making his grandson a slave. 5 million species, yet they all got on a boat. Surely it would have been a buffet for the lions. Well, don't forget to like, follow, leave a comment, tell me where I'm wrong. All right. Could be either. See you, pals.